today I'm stalking a particularly elusive prey, the wild asparagus. It grows along, decades ago, people planted it along canal banks here, along fence lines, and it just has continued to grow and spread. And so I did it as a kid with my parents, and I'll still go around and pick up asparagus. But if you find a patch, you don't tell anybody where your patch is, because somebody else will come pick it. I picked several of these patches a couple times already this year. Got some bags of asparagus in the freezer. We've had some fresh asparagus for dinner. And it's been getting kind of hot lately, so some of this asparagus is going to seed already. It's getting large and kind of stocky, so not as good to eat. But I picked about half a grocery sack so far. Let's see if we can show you that. Some good asparagus in there. And you come along patches like this. Now this one's getting a little bit stocky, a little bit hard. But the mistake some people will make is they will come and just break off the tips because that's the only part they want to eat. Well, if you do that, it effectively ends the growing season for that asparagus. You need to cut it off at the base, just below the soil line, and then it will grow a new stalk, and you can come harvest it again. So some people have been out here earlier in the year, and they broke off all the tips, and when people do that, it pisses me off, because it really wastes that asparagus. But I'll be able to get a few choice sprouts out of here, and we'll pick them up, and then we go back. I just generally either put them in the freezer or put them in a frying pan with some butter and some salt and pepper. So anyways, it makes a good side dish to go along with your steak or your deer. Really tasty to have some wild asparagus. I know it didn't look like much, but out of that little pile right there, I pulled this mess of them. Now the ideal size is about 4 to 10 inches. And if you're gonna harvest ones bigger than that, still cut them off below the soil so that a new one will grow back. You can go ahead and trim them up and just eat the tips if you want, but make sure you cut them off and harvest them right. Now I've been told the big thick ones, here's a good example. The big thick ones like that are the male, and the little skinny ones are female. The little skinny ones seem to go to seed a lot faster. They grow up really tall into almost a bush, but that's what I've been told. So anyways, this is wild asparagus. It's a fun thing to go do. I'm out this morning by myself because everyone was still sleeping, but the kids like to come with me and do it too. So here's a patch that's mostly gone to seed. Somebody didn't get to it soon enough, so it's all gone to seed. It'll grow back next year, but then I'll look through it and see if there's a few sprouts I can harvest. There's some that don't look too bad, so they're just coming up. All right. Well, I was able to harvest a little bit out of there, but just to tell you, I checked this patch a couple weeks ago, and it hadn't really even sprouted. So that's just how fast these things grow once the heat comes on, and once they get some water. So it's been kind of an unusual year. It's been a cold, it was a bit of a cold April, March, April, May. Like I said, it snowed on Memorial Day, so it's been a cold year. So I think they were a little bit later coming on, but middle of April through the end of May is a good time to pick asparagus around here. After that, it starts getting real hot and they go to seed so fast. But anyways, that's our asparagus hunt for the day. I've almost got 1 sack full. If I can find some more on my walk back, then I'll get those as well. All right. This is the mess I ended up with. I picked all these sprouts this morning. Not too bad for a late season harvest. Like I said, 2/3 of the patches had probably gone to seed already, and I just left them so they could continue to grow and spread. But anyways, that's hunting the wild asparagus. taking me a little bit to post this video, but while I was out there looking for asparagus, I noticed the carp in the lake were really spawning. They were splashing around, going crazy. So I walked closer to see if I could get a video of it, and I saw something kind of interesting. I think it was a white carp or an albino carp. I mean, it could be just a giant goldfish somebody released in the pond, but here's the video. Tell me what you think. Maybe we'll go back and see if we can catch it. Well, here's a little bit of gardening humor for you. Juan Pablo always had a big garden. He would plant his chili peppers, and he would make the best salsa and pico. But he was getting older, and it was too hard for him to go out and work in the garden. And his son, Jose, who used to help him, who used to help him till up the garden and plow it up so that he could plant his peppers, he unfortunately was in prison and wasn't there to help his dad anymore. And he wrote a letter to his son in prison. He said, "Oh, I really miss having you here to help me plant my chilies. I miss those fresh peppers so much, and making my salsa." And his son writes back. He says, "Dad, please don't dig up the garden. That's where I buried all the bodies." Well, next thing you know, the cops have showed up. The FBI shows up. They're tearing up his yard, looking for those bodies. And after about a day, they don't find anything, so they leave. And his son writes him another letter, and he says, "Dad, sorry I couldn't be there, but at least I got your garden plowed up for you."